The social game is rigged. It always has been, which, if we're being entirely honest, you probably already know. Even if you never said it out loud, even if you've told yourself, like everybody else does, that you're just early in the journey, or you're still working on yourself, or whatever motivational bumper sticker you've been using to cover up the creeping suspicion that the wrong people keep winning. And by the wrong people, I'm not talking about somebody who doesn't put their shopping cart back sometimes, or who, maybe says something offensive after a couple of drinks. No, I'm talking about the ones who, by some evolutionary loophole, literally don't feel guilt or empathy the way the rest of us do. Politicians who are so transparently craven and insincere, it's almost impressive. These people will literally say anything. They'll adopt any principle, abandon any belief, whatever polls best that week. Corporate leaders who bankrupt cities, who lay off thousands, rob pensions, and then get golden parachutes and speaking gigs where they lecture the unemployed about resilience. Who could forget about these scumbag influencers? I'm talking about those ones, you know who they are, who film the pranks where strangers accidentally get assaulted and then they get shooed away by their bodyguards. These same people run crypto scams, live stream themselves committing fucking felonies. And the worst part of it, these people don't just get rich, they get cheered for it. They're role models to the kids. I'm talking about the sociopaths. And the rest of us, the decent folks who worked hard and followed the script, well, we get skipped. You get passed over, used as props in somebody else's success story. And if you ever stayed awake at 3 a.m., running back some conversation you fucked up or some opportunity you didn't push for because it wouldn't be polite, maybe a moment you let somebody else take the spotlight because you didn't want to seem needy or arrogant or pushy, then you know what I'm talking about. It's that little voice in your head that says, maybe I'm just not built for this. Maybe only assholes and manipulators can win. And honestly, you wouldn't be entirely wrong, because the game doesn't reward goodness and virtue. It rewards whoever can control the story everybody else believes. These sociopaths, they don't wait for fairness. Hell, they don't even wait for reality to catch up. They just decide what's true and just start living like it's inevitable. And meanwhile, you've been waiting for some invisible cosmic HR department to file a complaint on your behalf. While you've been doing that, they've been shaping the frame. But ultimately, the game isn't rigged for sociopaths. It's just rigged against those who are unaware. That's the difference, okay? That's the crack in the system. You don't got to be like these fucking people, but you do have to stop thinking that the rules were designed to protect you. See the game, stop getting played, and rig it back. And look, it's not like nobody warned you about this. Every burned out uncle, jaded coworker, they all try to tell you. Life's not fair, kid. Hell, even fucking Tupac tried to tell you. Come on. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. And actually, that's Bruce Hornsby, but, Bruce Hornsby and Tupac both tried to tell you. A lot of people try to tell you, but most of them, they kind of said it like a shrug. Like unfairness was just traffic or bad weather, an inconvenience, not the system, because that's what they believed. The unfairness was the exception. It's just a few bad apples, not the design itself. But what they didn't tell you, because maybe they didn't even fucking know, was that the game isn't just unfair. It runs on unfairness. It's not a flaw. It's the fuel. From the very first time you raised your hand and waited to be called on, the system trained you. Be polite. Be patient. Follow the rules. Don't be disruptive. Work hard, and someday your time will come. But someday's a lie. A little dangling carrot designed to keep you compliant. Because if fairness was real, if doing the right thing and following the script actually led to success, the world would look very, very different, wouldn't it? We'd be led by honest, empathetic, thoughtful people who actually give a shit. But take a fucking look around. That's not who's running things. Not in politics, corporations, in dating, social media, pretty much nowhere. Because the system rewards 3 things: visibility, confidence, and narrative control. The bold get seen, the certain get chosen, the storytellers shape the room, which is why you get skipped. Not because you lack value, but because you're lacking visibility, certainty, and frame. And if you don't have those things, You're just going to continue to get skipped, overlooked, and dismissed, while these fucking dick clowns, these scammers and sociopaths take your shit again and again and again. Not because they're better than you, but simply because they're not afraid. I mean, look, that's what this really is, right? You've been scared to be seen. You've been scared to own your value. You've been scared to lead. And deep down on a certain level, you know this. That's why you scroll content just like this, hoping for some mindset trick, but you never go out. That's why you rationalize every rejection like a child. That's why these other dickheads win while you fantasize. But again, it's unfair. It's not your fault. Okay. The rig isn't going away. The only way out is to rig it back right fucking now. Visibility, certainty, frame control. That's what wins, and that's what I teach. Click the link in the description. Let's fix this. Or you can stay just where you're at right now while these idiots and predators pass you by forever. Your move. Again, most people never see the rig, right? They feel it, but they can't put a finger on it. They can't name it. You know, they might say to yourself, oh, you know, the promotion went to the douchebag because he was more qualified. Right? The date, it just didn't work out. I just wasn't their type. They rationalize because the truth that there's a pattern running behind every single one of these results, it's just too uncomfortable. And once you see it, you can't keep telling yourself it's just bad luck anymore. At that point, you got to admit you're getting played. The winners aren't the most deserving. They just figured out these levers that the game runs on. Number one, visibility, which essentially means marketing yourself. Visibility, it's not just being seen, it's making enough offers. It's taking enough shots. And most importantly, it means accepting rejection like a professional. An old mentor of mine, he once said to me, Jeff, people don't know what they don't know. If you don't put yourself out there, whether it's in dating or sales or friendships, whatever, nobody's going to come knocking at your door. There's plenty of like amazing products in the marketing graveyard that nobody's ever going to hear about because they simply were not promoted correctly. And even when you do put yourself out there, well, most of it's not going to work. That's not failure. That's just reality. That's just the numbers. You got to be mature enough to acknowledge the reality that most deals won't close. Personally, I'm able to maintain a positive attitude through the assumption of a negative result because I believe I can close anyway. And just so we're clear, again, I'm not some podcaster theory crafting this in this little studio. I've done over 30,000 cold approaches on strangers, drunk, sober, day, night, in, out, wherever, in real places, with real energy where fake shit dies. Most won't even take 30 shots, let alone 30,000. I mean, shit, that's like the size of a basketball arena. So when I say market yourself, this isn't just like content advice. This is what kept me alive out there. This is how I won. So that's lever number one. Lever two is confidence. And most think that confidence, it's like bravado or just believe in yourself. No, confidence means you have value clarity. You know the proposition that you're bringing to the table. You know the value proposition. If you can't answer, why is this a win for them? Well, you're just not going to be able to sell yourself congruently in business, in relationships, in social life, anywhere. And worse, deep down, you'll feel like you're trying to trick people. Like maybe I can trick someone to be my client. Maybe I can trick someone into fucking me. You think you're like a little rat trying to steal a piece of cheese. That's why you freeze. That's why you fear rejection. Because if you don't believe the offer's legit, how the fuck are they going to? Now, I never feel that anymore. Because why? After 2 decades of changing thousands of people's lives year in and year out, I don't even feel like I'm selling anything. I mean, literally inviting people to a win-win. They can take it or leave it. I don't give a shit. That clarity kills neediness. But, beyond that, there's another barrier. Most people, they subconsciously avoid success itself. And why is that? Because winning, it increases complexity, right? If you go up a level in your business or, your dating level, you'd have to deal with an increased complexity that comes with that. You'd have to take on more responsibility. It forces you to change. And your mind, well, it prefers that homeostasis. It wants to stay safe, even if that means that you stay stuck. And that's why people sabotage opportunities. That's why they rationalize why, I don't really want all that. I'm good where I'm at. They avoid responsibility because they fear what happens if they actually succeed. Leadership means being the person who's willing to carry the weight of success while other people flinch at it. And so, again, number 2 is confidence. Lever number 3, finally, is narrative control. Most people walk into a room scanning for the vibe. They try to fit whatever frame's already running. Winners walk in and they decide what story this is going to be, right? They don't wait for the vibe to be right. They make the fucking vibe. And that's not arrogance. That's narrative authorship. If you don't shape the frame, you automatically inherit somebody else's. Usually somebody stupider than you, but bolder. Like every room you walk into already has a frame. The question is, are you writing it or are you just another NPC following the script? Now, when you finally realize all this, that's where most people will run. The second that they realize the game is rigged, that virtue is not rewarded, hard work isn't enough, they bail. They tell themselves, look, I'm above all this. I don't want to play these fucking games. As if refusing to play the game makes it disappear. But it doesn't. You don't escape by opting out. You just become irrelevant, invisible. The only way out is through. You don't manipulate the system. You lead within it. You stop seeking permission and start assuming authority. That's what rigging the game back means. Not becoming a sociopath, not discarding your empathy or virtue, but using those 3 levers as leadership behaviors. Visibility becomes selective exposure. You market yourself not to everybody, but to the right people, the people you actually have chemistry with. You broadcast your signal. You polarize, you screen, you attract alignment, not approval. I'm not out there looking for 10 people who think I'm sort of okay. I'm looking for the one person out there who thinks I'm awesome. And paradoxically, perhaps, when you stop giving a shit whether they like you or not, all of a sudden, you magically seem to find chemistry with a lot more people. Why? Because it's non-needy. Confidence becomes value certainty. You understand what you offer. You assume most aren't going to see it. Again, that's not rejection, that's filtering. And then beyond that, you carry that weight of success without flinching, even when the complexity increases, even when the other people from your old life try to drag you down, the crabs in a bucket. And finally, narrative control becomes authorship. You don't just set the vibe in a room, you decide what story is happening. You don't just frame the moment, you frame the whole fucking game. And when you do this, you don't just stop losing, you start bending the game itself. That's how you rig it back. Not by out-scheming the manipulators, but simply by making them irrelevant. Most people follow scripts. Leaders write them. And if that scares you, if you feel like that resistance rising up in you just talking about this, good. That's the fear of responsibility. That's the final success barrier. That's the moment right before you grow. You don't got to be perfect. You just have to be willing. And before you tell yourself, oh, okay, sure, Jeff, this all sounds good in theory, but in real life, nobody flips the script like that. This is all like a nice story you're telling. No, they do. I've seen it. I see it every weekend. I coach it. I've lived it. Now, I can tell you a little story about a dude from boot camp. This is a quiet guy, very nerdy looking, quite frankly, and like dressed kind of like a dork, tech bro, nice, polite, unassuming. We did the opening circle and I asked everybody about their goals. He goes, I just want to get one phone number a week. Like not pull. He doesn't want a relationship. He just wants one phone number a week. That's where this guy was at. And on the first night, we go out and his approaches were extremely fucking weak. Like very, very weak sauce. People basically like looked right through him. Like it's like he was a piece of furniture. Nice to meet you. 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 He like literally would just keep hearing that before they turn away and dismiss him. And then the second night, it's like something snapped within this dude finally. Like he had just had enough. He's like, I've heard enough fucking nice to meet yous. Like enough of the politeness, enough being ignored. And it's funny too, because we put this sash on him earlier in the night that says, finally 21. And that kind of became his visibility tool, if you will, right? Marketing. And so closing time, the bars are letting out and he's on the street and he sees this girl walking down the street with some dude. And instead of hanging back, instead of looking for the perfect moment, he just walked right up to her. He made eye contact with her. He held the eye contact and then he extended his hand. And she took it And he gently pulled her in. He goes, "It's time for a dance." Like, he didn't ask. He just made a decision. Frame control. And right there on the street, she's like, "Is it your birthday?" And she starts dancing with him. And then they start kissing. And I'm like, oh shit. And the dude that she was actually walking with previously, for some reason, he randomly starts fighting some other dude on the street. Like, I don't know. I no idea why. Didn't matter. And it's funny because the girl sees the guy doing this, and she looks at my student. She's like, "Oh my God, so embarrassing. Let's get out of here." Then she grabbed him. She pulled him into an Uber, and she drove him to her house in Marin County. And then, the following day, the final day on Sunday, we're all waiting for him, and he like shows up and he swags on up to the van. Like, he looked like a totally different person. His entire physiology was transformed. Like, the way he's walking, the way he's holding himself, and he just had this big shitting grin on his face. And he rolls up, and the only thing he said, he's like, "It's real." And I was like, "Yep, yes, it is. That is in fact correct." That's what happens when you stop playing the fairness game. When you stop waiting for permission, you stop hoping to be chosen, and you start leading. That's rigging it back. Not in theory, not in mindset, out in the real world where real results happen. Truth is, fairness is dead. It was never really alive to begin with. It was a fucking bedtime story. A trick to keep you obedient, trusting that the system would eventually notice you and reward you, but it won't. Because it can't. The system does not notice intrinsic value. It notices visibility, confidence, and who controls the frame. And it's not because the world is evil or humans are broken. It's simply because that's how social creatures survive, by responding to presence, by following the strongest signal in the room. You don't gotta like it, but you do have to see it. And once you see it, then you have a choice. You can keep playing by these old rules, or you can start rigging it back. Again, not to exploit or manipulate people, but simply to stop being a pawn in somebody else's script. And it starts the moment that you stop waiting and start leading. And if you're ready to do that, click the link in the description. Come train with me, either in real life or online. We'll fix this once and for all. Bend the game or get bent by it. Your move. This is Jeffy, and I'll see you next time.